I'll call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Kathy Stallworth.
Wes Summers.
Bill Burkhalter.
Two of our members are missing. I don't know if they'll be coming in or not, but we do have a quorum, so we can hold a meeting. I'd like to have a confirmation of the agenda, please.
So move.
First thing.
Minutes.
No, we don't have to do anything, we just have a confirmation.
Approval of the minutes.
Oh, I missed the minutes, excuse me. We have approval of the minutes?
I do have some
I-
issues with the minutes.
I got a question too, so go ahead first.
Well, now maybe this is my lack of knowledge, but on page 2, starting on page 1, starting on page 2 and the back of the front page, okay? The sign ordinance or development code limits the maximum square feet on a single square parcel to basically 300 square feet or 10% of the ground floor area or 3 square feet of street frontage. Is it 3? Is that correct? At the top of page
top.
2 of 3. At the
I
top
got
of,
3 square feet. of
is 3
street
is
frontage,
3
whichever's
square
the-
feet correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that just,
I believe that is. If it is incorrect, I'll make sure it gets corrected in the official minutes, but I believe that is correct.
okay, and there, this old school teacher here. I hope I'm not stepping on your toes, Tommy, if you type this.
Nope.
But there are a number of grammatical errors in it. And so if it's gonna be for, forever, we maybe need to fix it, but you can have my copy, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And I have one question, and maybe I just totally missed it at the meeting, but was that request by Walmart? I thought it was by.
Walmart.
Yeah, look on page 2.
That is a question right there.
That Mr. Paradise stated that this is a request by Walmart in Sweetwater Center. I don't think it was Walmart requesting it.
Walmart wasn't involved in it.
Right.
Right.
So it's actually the people that were constructing Diablos and Jiffy Lube.
Correct.
Okay.
And I am trying to find where that is so I
It's,
can mark
it's
it.
right here under A, public hearing on the red letter 2, red number 2.
Page, back page. Says public hearing, purpose of the hearing is to receive public comments. Second sentence, Mr. Paradise stated request by Walmart.
We'll make that correction
Okay,
to the
thank you.
appropriate people.
What I thought, but I wasn't,
Um,
thought I might have been asleep when we did that, but.
And on the B, consideration, and then when it went over to the next page, there seems to be some duplication of sentences, and I don't know whether that was an error in cut and paste or what, but I just think the whole thing needs to be looked back over. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Would you like?
It's probably a
to-
cut and paste thing.
Part of this
Probably.
paragraph just got repeated.
I think that's it. Part of the paragraph just got,
Would you like to
Repeat it.
delete the first Chairman Summers read the 10 steps? Or the second?
Matters not to me.
I don't think it matters there.
If it's, all right, would you all delete the first one?
All right.
To me, the second one reads better.
Right.
And then Mr. Paradise did state that it was properly posted in the newspaper. Well, that's already stated over here on the page before that. So we can eliminate the second one on that because that really fits better.
Well, even though, okay. I was gonna say, I ask him that question every time, so.
But I guess he answered it here. And
Yeah.
you think maybe you ask it again. I don't know. But anyway,
We will handle that.
Can I have a motion, we approve with the changes?
So moved.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Item 5, ZV 21-00, -011. A request by Sarah and Greg Brown for a variance at 305 West Forest Avenue, Tax District 00710-0 03-004 from section 3.8.6.3 and table 3-11, dimension standards for the Neighborhood Preservation Corridor District, Overlay District of the North Augusta Development Code for a house that exceeds the maximum building footprint of 3,000 feet by approximately 272 square feet. The application affects plus or minus 0.22 acres zoned R7 small lot, single-family residential within the Neighborhood Preservation Overlay District. We'll have a public hearing and consideration. So for the first thing I'll do is I'll open the public hearing at this time. Mr. Tonic, can you tell us about this, please?
Yes, sir. This is an application from Sarah and Greg Brown. They would like to build a residence for them to live in at this location at 305 West Forest Avenue. It is in the Neighborhood Preservation Overlay, so they're limited to 3,000 square feet on the footprint of the building. They are in somewhat of a unique situation, is that because of some of the health issues, that they want a one-story house. They are restricted to a one-story house, and I'll let the applicant explain those issues to you. But they're so it has stretched out what they need to do. They could probably have put this on a two-story house and got the square footage fine, but because of their issues, it was important to have a one-story home. Mrs. Brown and I, when this issue came up and it got pulled, we looked at the plans, and I looked and said, okay, is there a way we can detach the garage? Is there a way that we could move something around? And there really wasn't. Part of it is they want to make accommodations for their parents, and so that's getting up in age, so that they've got a place for them to stay when it's time. And if you detach that garage, then the living unit for their family or for their parents is behind that garage, so that would take them outside of the main home, which would mess up the care that they're trying to provide. Mrs. Brown is limited and has trouble with stairs, so there is a consideration there about the two-story and children and being separated from her children upstairs and away from the family and not being able to get to them. So that is why it's important to them to have this home as it is. Now, as they've designed it, you see here the parcel, it's been well posted. This gives you the site plan, and you see they meet all of the setbacks that's required for the district. My understanding is they've talked to the neighbors and they can address that when they speak. One of the things that has been important to them in talking with Mrs. Brown is trying to preserve the large tree there on the corner. And they've positioned the house to accommodate that tree. And then this gives you have the floor plan in your packet, but this gives you the building elevation and a little nicer look of what they intend to build and how it will affect the neighborhood. And any questions?
Not from him.
No, sir, not right now.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here that would speak in opposition to it? We'll get that out of the way first. Unless the husband and wife can't agree, then we're in trouble. So could you please come down there, please? Either one of you or both, whichever one. Will you state your name and address, please?
Good evening, I'm Sarah Brown. I currently live at 387 Landing Drive. That's where we're renting right now.
Greg Brown.
Will you both raise your right hand, please? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. What would you like to tell us about this project?
Well, just just that it was summed up pretty good, but we're really trying to have a one-floor home with all the bedrooms and a home office for Sarah, and it's the spare bedroom being for her mother in the near future, most likely.
Yeah, well, my husband is the designer, so we've taken a lot of steps to design this house specifically for our needs. I do have bad knees. I have arthritis in my knees. I also have, just last week, my spine was messing up with my nerves, so thankfully I didn't have any stairs to go up, otherwise that would have been a problem. I've had that since I was in my 30s. Our last house we did design an elevator shaft possibly for the future, just specifically for me. But with this new house, I really didn't want to go that route. I do have a 5-year-old son. I really didn't want to put a bedroom upstairs with him up there, me not be able to get to him quick enough. My mother has severe health issues. She has cirrhosis of the liver. She's at stage 4. It's the last little bit. She's hanging in there. She will most likely have to come live with us at some point. And that back bedroom that's attached to the garage was meant specifically for her. And that way I would keep her close to me and I'd be able to assist her as necessary. Our son does go to school during the day and he's out by 2:30. I keep him the rest of the afternoon. So I use the home office to run my business through. I'm a real estate agent. So I do that in the afternoons and do some homework with him in that area. So we really try to utilize every single piece of square footage, not extravagant, but in the confines of what we need and would be appropriate for us in our living. We do have one bonus room. It's just mainly for exercise, maybe a theater room for the kids to hang out.
We really wanted to save that big oak tree
Yeah.
on the corner, so that was the reason for the length of the house. The lot is long, so we were kind of, we wanted to have a little backyard. We intend to keep, and we've actually spoken to the rear neighbor on West Avenue as of yesterday. We spoke to him, and we intend to keep almost all the existing trees and shrubbery there, and have the footprint not disturb some of those trees that are there.
And we've talked to the neighbors on the other side of West Forest and the one across the street, and they're all in excitement. They're glad somebody's finally coming in, adding to the neighborhood. They all have a picture of our rendering, so they see what we're doing. They're excited. I think it'll add some great value to the neighborhood.
Mr. Chairman, I would add that all property owners within 200 feet received written notification from the city notifying them of this meeting.
And I'll ask it now. It was posted in the
Yes, sir.
newspaper. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, we're just excited to be able to move forward.
Do you have any questions?
I did have one, but I was going to ask you, but I've forgotten what it was now. But I don't think it was anything real important. Now the garage. Okay, so that's what it was. That was what it was. The garage. I see that it's going to be a usable car garage, but behind that is the living space for a parent. We do have that. I just wanted to make sure.
I think it's one before it. You don't have that? Okay. I
They've
thought we
got it
had
in their
all.
packet.
I thought so if you see the back corner,
The northern bump out, that's the.
Yes, I see.
yes. So it's all attached, leading to the hallway, and it has the pantry and the garage all right there. We do have a set here on the floor if you'd like to, I mean, he has it if you'd like to see it.
No, I understand it. That's what I thought, but I
Okay.
wasn't quite sure. So, y'all did, Tommy said y'all talked about having a detached garage, but that did not work.
Correct. We've tried many different, multiple ways to redo this.
Go back to the one that shows the house finished. That one. Over the garage, is that where you're talking about having a bonus room?
No, sir. It's in, past the front door.
It's gonna be on the same level.
Sir,
Well,
Bonus room, is it's on the first level?
No, sir.
No, sir, it's on the second level.
basically-
Where those
it's ba-
gables are?
Yes, ma'am. It's basically attic space right now. We most likely won't finish it due to budget, but, yeah, and then we tried to, with the design of the house, we tried to kind of go for a little more of a historical feel, you know, to kind of match the character of the neighborhood. And, you know, we're gonna have 3 offsets in the front: the garage, the main body, and then the study. And they're all gonna be brick with a German schmear. It's kind of a historical way of doing the brick where the mortar kind of blends. And the 3 dormers, everything's very symmetrical. So we hope that it'll match, you know, give the neighborhood some character, and kind of blend with the existing character.
Burkhalter, you have some questions?
No, I don't think so. Well, I did have one. This is just curious. I had not seen maybe it was in the packet and I missed it, but the rendering, it looks real. Is that a similar house in a different place?
Oh,
or-
no, sir, that's a computer-generated rendering.
So that is what the house is gonna look like?
Yes,
Correct.
ma'am. Oh, yeah,
100%.
yes, ma'am. And that's the exact placement of that tree, so, I mean,
Right.
it's similar-ish.
You know, you've got some beautiful camellias on West Avenue there, too.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely, yeah.
Anything else, Mr. Burkhalter?
Just curious about that.
That's all, thank you. We
Thank
may
you.
ask you some questions when we start
All right.
consideration. Yeah. No one's here in opposition, no one else wants to speak in for it, I'll close the public hearing. And before I start that, let me offer you a little, if you build this house, make sure the first time the tax assessor comes by and assesses it, if you have not finished that upstairs, you make sure they know that, because it took me 4 years to get it off of mine, and all I had was 1 dormer and nothing upstairs, and they classified it as a 2-story house for 4 years before I could get it changed. Just a little piece of advice. Okay. We'll take consideration of the project now. A variance may, I need to read this so everyone understands. A variance may be granted in an individual case of an unnecessary hardship if the Board of Zoning Appeals makes and explains in writing all of the following. An unnecessary hardship exists. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. The conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. Number 4 is because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. And 5, the authorization of a variance will not be a substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. Harm to the character of the district may include structures that are significantly out of scale, and the creation or the potential for creation of excessive noise, light, traffic, or incompatible late-night activity. And the approval of an application for a variance from this provision of Article 13 signs doesn't apply in this case. Number 7, the Board of Zoning Appeals may not grant a variance in effect which would be to allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in the zoning district, to extend physically a non-conforming use of land, Or to C, change the zoning district boundaries shown on the official zoning map. Number 8, if the unnecessary hardship is self-imposed by the applicant, the variance should not be granted. Number 9 is the fact that property may be utilized more profitable should a variance be granted shall not be considered grounds for variance. And in 10, in granting the variance, the Board of Zoning Appeals may attach to such conditions regarding the location, character, or other features of the proposed building, structure, or use as the board may consider advisable to promote the public health, safety, or general welfare. Based on these findings of fact, the Board of Zoning Appeals may approve, disapprove with conditions, or deny the request. How we usually work this is we take these one at a time and go through them, and if we find in the affirmative for it, we move on to the next one. If we happen to run into one that we find no on, then that stops there and the variance is not granted. So I just wanted you to know that. So I'm going to read it one more time, the request, and then we'll have some consideration. The request is a request by Sarah and Greg Brown for a variance at 305 West Forest Avenue, Tax District 007-10-03-004, from Section 3.8.6.3 and Table 3-11, Dimensional Standards for the Neighborhood Preservation Corridor Overlay District of North Augusta Development Code, or a house that exceeds the maximum building footprint of 3,000 square feet by approximately 272 square feet. The application affects 0.022 acres, zoned R7, small lots, single-family residential, and within the Neighborhood Preservation Overlay District. So with that, we'll consider each item. And the first one is an unnecessary hardship exists. The applicant states that the maximum footprint prohibits design of a ranch-style home which would provide the required accessibility for personal and professional use. Any comments?
Well, I do have a comment, and I don't want you to take this, wrong. It's just something I have to say. This hardship, I do think is, well, I don't know how to say it, but caused by them because they want it on one floor and they want the mother-in-law suite, so to speak, attached to the house. I don't have a problem with it, but I have to get my mind around that. I mean, I won't say that the hardship is something they can help, but, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And Tommy, y'all have explored every other option to try to accommodate the 3,000.
We have, and is it all right if I give you kind of a little different way to look at it?
Yes.
And I understand exactly what you're saying. The other thing is, though, is the family's been put in a situation with health issues in their family that they need to provide care for her mother and also her. And if they could build, there would not be any problem with building this house on the square footage if it was 2 floors. But because she has those health conditions, and the mother-in-law has the health conditions, they have to bring one of those floors down. So is that a self-imposed because they want it? Or is it that they want it because they need it because of the circumstances that they've been given. And that's just kind of an alternative view, if that helps you any, Ms.
Well, I
Stallworth.
said it's hardships not brought on by themselves, so to speak, but I just need to get my mind around.
And that's why, you know, the hardship is really, and I'm just trying to help you, is you could look at it that the hardship was brought on by the medical issues that they're having to deal with. And that most families that would be moving there wouldn't have that hardship. I'm trying to be helpful.
So I think we can say it's not a self-imposed hardship. Does that help? That's gonna be down on another one.
Let me take this a step further and ask a question. If at some point in time, Mr. Brown decides that he can finish the upstairs, the attic, and turn that into another room, he comes down to get a building permit, he's got to get another variance, isn't he?
No, sir. It's 3,000 square feet footprint per building. So if this was a larger lot, they could have 3,000 square foot buildings
Okay.
on there.
I understand.
So it's by footprint.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, please.
So the issue with the 2 floors is either the master's upstairs with my child upstairs, and I still have to constantly come down every single day. Or my son's upstairs, I'm downstairs, and the mother-in-law's suite is downstairs. I'm still having to go upstairs every single day. My mother, with her cirrhosis of the liver, she has something is impaired with her where she falls asleep. She has not been able to drive for 2 years. She currently lives in Myrtle Beach. I have to go pick her up, bring her here, and she spends at least every other month at my house for 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4 weeks. She stays with me on a long-term basis so I can keep an eye on her. She can relieve her husband and give him a break, and she helps me out and gets to see my son. I'm constantly either babysitting a 5-year-old or babysitting my mother. So for me to have easy access, if she falls and upstairs and I can't get down quick enough, or the other way around, you know, somebody's hurting there. Either my mom's hurting or I'm hurting. So my husband and I are the oldest of all of our families. That burden's coming on us, and we're trying to prepare for that. We've had bad experiences with nursing homes with my husband. We refuse to put our parents in there. We have the means, we have the ability, we want our family with us. So it's not that it's that far in the future. She does come visit me on a daily basis. So this room will be get used, if that helps clarify that.
Well, I just have to get past the hardship
Yes.
that is required of us, you know, so that's fine. I mean, I certainly understand.
We understand the hardship you have.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think we do.
okay,
no, right.
We do.
thank you.
Well, I'm okay with that. If,
I don't have a problem with it. Especially since it's a footprint issue, and I realize that the standards have to set up something for that particular zoning, and ordinarily that would work. But this is a very nice location, and it's a pretty lot, yet it's not been claimed, and part of the reason for that may very well be that people couldn't put on the lot what they wanted to, especially if it had to be a ranch or a single story type dwelling. So I'm not really struggling too much with the number 1.
Number 2, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. The applicant states that the home was designed with the neighborhood in mind and some existing vegetation will be preserved. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm having a hard time with this too. I don't see how there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions other than the trees the tree particularly they want to preserve, and hopefully some of that other old growth vegetation. I mean, it doesn't have a creek running through it. It doesn't have an easement running through it.
No, but it is a very narrow lot.
That is a very narrow lot.
It would have to be, a box built is what would have to be built if you didn't put this ranch-style house long and flat on it. It'd have to be a two-story box. Very narrow.
How deep is the lot? And the front of it is 90 or what? On West Forest? That's right, it's 130, and on West it's, right, I measured an inch to 30 feet and got about almost 90, so yeah. So actually, that's bigger than most original lots on the original plat. They were 50 feet wide. So I'm okay with number 2.
A lot of those, not necessarily above there, but in a lot of downtown North Augusta, the original 50-foot lots are combined with the second lot in order to make the building size work people wanted to use. And I guess at the time some of that was done, the standards and the dimensions weren't as closely defined as they are nowadays. I mean, my parents' house, just 2 blocks down, was built on 2 lots plus 10 feet of another. So, you had to cobble together property to make it work.
Yeah, our lot was built on 2 lots, as was Beverly's next door.
Right.
And then they start the 50 feet.
Okay, so we're good with number 2. Number 3 is these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. And can't really apply to many more, any additional property, because I don't think there's another vacant lot in there.
There's one up on at 905 West Avenue. It's owned by the homeowner, but I think he's gonna do something with it. But that's the only other one.
So we're good with that one? Number 4, because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to this particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unnecessarily restrict the utilization of the property. The applicant states that the code restricts the ability to have a ranch-style home with all the necessary rooms on the main level for the homeowners and their guests to receive full, easy accessibility. I'm in agreement on that one too.
Right, yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Number 5, the authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property or the granting or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by granting of the variance. Harm to the character of the district may include structures that are sophistically out of scale and the creation or potential of the creation of excessive noise, light, traffic, or incompatible late-night activity. I don't see any of that happening.
I guess the length of it, rather than a box kind, which most of those are, Mamie Chance's is in the, across the street. I mean, they don't, Mamie Chance looks more like a box, but the, Baxter's across the street doesn't, but I think that is the only thing you could have put there.
We're okay with that one. Number 6 is not applicable. We're Not gonna have any signs out, are we? Number 7, the Board of Zoning Appeals may not grant a variance of the effect which would be to allow the establishment, we're not gonna do that, to extend the physical or non-conforming use of the land, we're not doing that. Or C, change the zoning district boundaries, we're not doing that. So we okay with that one?
Okay with that.
Number 8 is the unnecessary hardship is self-imposed by the application of the variance should not be granted. The applicant states the hardship is created by the narrow lot and restrictions of the neighborhood preservation overlay.
I don't have a problem with that either. I think we said earlier,
think
you can
so.
argue almost every variance that's requested is to some extent self-imposed.
Right.
But, I mean, in this situation, I think they've gone to extremes to make this proposed residence fit the lot and the neighborhood, the character of the neighborhood.
You okay with that one?
Yeah, I'm fine with that, since we got that out of the way at the first one.
Number 9, the fact that the property may be utilized more profitable should a variance be granted shall not be considered grounds for a variance. Staff notes that the fact that the property may be utilized more profitable is not the primary purpose of the request. I'll ask the question, how could it be used more profitable other than putting a house on it?
You are correct. That is residential zoning, that's what's supposed to be there.
So we're okay with that one? Number 10, in granting a variance, the Board of Zoning Appeals may attach to such conditions regarding the location, character, or other features of the proposed building structure or use as the board may consider advisable to promote the public health, safety, or general welfare. This variance, if granted, will apply only to this property and the architectural construction drawings as submitted. Staff has open suggestion for other conditions from the board. I think if they are in full agreement that they're gonna build it just like we saw it, I'm okay with that.
I am too.
So, now comes the easy part, Kathy.
Where's Kevin? Call him up.
Since you are the school teacher.
Where's our form?
If we got a form in here,
No, we don't have one. Oh, you might have one.
I might have one in my book, hold on. We have to do this in the exact order in order. You're gonna get your variance, but we have to make sure we do this right. Tom, you don't happen to have one with you, do you?
I'm not for sure what kind of form you're talking about.
The motion form that
There's a-
Kevin always
There's
does.
a motion form that's in this book somewhere. See if I can find it.
I'm not familiar with that one.
We want to do this just right. I'll tell you what, why don't you make it very easy? Why don't you just make the motion that we grant this variance based on the
Findings,
findings of the 10
right.
And do you want to put that condition on there?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
With the
Just in-
following conditions.
Right.
That the house be built exactly
As it's shown on
rendered.
here. I move that we grant the variance requested by Sarah and Greg Brown to construct a house with a footprint of 3,272 square feet on the lot in question, on the lot that they, West Forest and West Avenue, in accordance with the findings of the board, that we were in agreement with all 10 of the criteria. The variance will be applied only to this property, and it must be, the house must look like the rendering we have in our booklet.
We have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion on that? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
None opposed. You have your variance. Good luck with all that you've got to do. I think the house will be a very,
It's a great design.
yes, a great
It's
design.
a beautiful
gonna be
design, and I live up the street at 904 West Avenue, so I'm tickled that it's, y'all are gonna be neighbors.
Here comes Kevin.
7 o'clock.
Kevin, you don't have to come all the way down, sir.
We met at 6,
We met at 6 and the meeting is over.
but we missed you for the motion.
And we do need to sign the training.
We do need a copy of if you have the motion sheet, we'd like to have a copy of it.
Tommy, I'm gonna give you these minutes with highlighted.
Is there anything else we need to discuss, Tommy? Nothing else on the agenda?
No, sir, I believe that's it. If, I think we're good.
Mr. Burkhalter, anything else?